morning, mathematicians. We're looking at Wednesday, and we're going to begin with some comparisons. Here we have 4/10. Here we have 5/10. So we know that this is a less than 4/10 of a kilogram is less than 5/10 of a kilogram. Here we have 0 and 83 hundredths liters is going to be less than 1 and 83 hundredths liters. We don't even have to consider the decimal value. We could even just think about 0 in the whole number position being less than 1 in the whole number position. Okay, now here we have 2 and 8 tenths meters is what as compared to 2 and 9 hundredths meters. Remember what we saw last week. We can also say this is 80 hundredths. 2 and 80 hundredths certainly is greater than 2 and 9 hundredths. So those are our comparison questions. We should have less than, greater than. Okay, now we're going to take a look at some volume. Mozzarella strips. Cheese block is 4 units tall. Well, that means that it has a height of 4. It is 5 units long. That means it has a length of 5. And it is 2 units wide. Height, length, and width were given to us in that sentence. How many total cheesy cubes does mozzarella have in her cheese block? Well, because we're not counting cubes or looking at a structure, we know here that we're going to use the volume formula. Volume equals length times width times height. To use the formula, you got to state it first. Now, let's exchange this. It has a length of 5. It has a width of 2. It has a height of 4. Well, I know that 5 times 2 is 10. And in this next step, I'm going to do 10 times 4 is 40. Now, what is the unit of measure? The unit of measure here, what I can record this as, is that it's 40 cheesy cubes. You can also just write cubes, but I think it's a little bit more fun to write that they are cheesy cubes, since certainly that is what it said in the question. Okay, now let's take a look at some numbers that we are going to take from our unit form to a decimal form. If I have 400ths, I want to use my knowledge of decimal foundations to record this as a 4 in the hundredth place. Well, I know that one place value after the decimal is the tenths. So here I have to put a 0 here to push the 4 into the hundredth place. We could put a 0 in the front. This 0 is optional, but this 0 is mandatory because it pushes the 4 to 2 place values after the decimal, which makes it 400ths. Now we're going to do something similar in our thinking here to make sure that we express 86,000. I want to have my 86, but I want it to be all the way in the thousandths place. So this 6 has to end in the thousandths place, which means we have to put a 0 in the tenths place. Because if we have a decimal and then a 0, this 0 is in the tens, this 0 is in the hundredths, this 0 or this 6 is in the thousands. So we have 86 thousandths. Here we're going to have 242 thousandths. So we're going to have 242, and I need this 2 to end in the thousandths place, which it will be if I simply put the decimal in front of this 2. My first 2 is in the tenths, my 4 is in the hundredths, the second 2 is in the thousandths. That finishes up that question, and let's go to our next. We're thinking about what happens and really why our basic factor zero trick does work. We have 20 times 20. Well, that's the same as 2 tens times 2 tens. Well, if I multiply those together, I'm going to have my 2 times my 2, and I'm going to have a 4. But remember, really, there was a 0 that existed with this 10 and a 0 that existed with this 10. Well, now we have 2 zeros, so that's why it really becomes 4 groups of 100. 4 groups of 100 equals 400. So I know that this 20 times 20 equals this, which is 400. We're going to do some similar thinking here. We have 80 times 60. So this 80 really represents 8 tenths. This 60 really represents 6 tenths. Well, 8 times 6 is going to give me 48. And really, we're combining the 0 from this 10 and the 0 from this 10, and that, of course, would give us 100. So 4,800 is the same as 48 with 2 zeros, or 4,800. Our last problem for today is thinking about really the area model of multiplying combined with thinking really about this 90, for example, being 90 groups of 10, right? So I have 9, or not 90 groups of 10, 9 groups of 10. I have written that here. This 20 really represents 2 groups of 10. Well, if I have 2 times 9, I get 18 hundredths. That is all we had to do for that problem. So we are done now with our Wednesday